Okay, we're ready to go.
Good to have you
You're
back.
being recorded.
Good afternoon. I'm now going to call the Wednesday, March 13th, 2024 meeting of the Norfolk County Commission to order. On Wednesday, March 29th, 2023, Governor Healy signed into law Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act making appropriation for fiscal year 2023, which includes a 2-year extension of the option for public bodies to hold remote meetings by suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. That action was effective immediately, extending the current option for remote meetings through March 31st, 2025. Thank you. Please join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We call the roll. Commissioner Stady,
Present, sir.
Commissioner Collins, Commissioner Shea is present. If there's no objection, I'd like to go to item number 6, which is public comment. Every week we have public comment as an agenda item at our meetings, and I'm now going to open the public comment session. Is anyone out in Zoom land that has any public comment? Now is the time to bring it up.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion during the public comment portion of this meeting for a proposal in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 35, Section 28 of the Mass General Laws. I would ask that Chairman Shea declare the public hearing on the Norfolk County fiscal year 2025 budget as open.
And I have so declared.
You want a second?
I'll second, yep, second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
we're still in public comment.
Okay, hearing the public comment on the budget, I would ask that we close the public hearing or to continue the public hearing to a future meeting. That's my
Is
motion.
that a motion?
Yes, that's my motion.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Dr. Cronin, you don't have anybody that's notified you on public comment?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll declare the public comment section hold. Thank you. No executive session today. Number 4, minutes of previous meetings.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move approval of the meeting minutes of February 28th as presented.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye.
It is approved. Next,
I'll move approval of the meeting minutes of March 6th as presented.
I'll abstain from that one. I wasn't here for that.
Right.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
March 6th is approved. Next,
I'll move also approval of the executive session of February 28th for approval with a stipulation not to be released until the chair so declares.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, appointments.
Hmm.
We have none. Number 7, old business. I have none. We're going to go right to personnel matters for consideration. President's Golf Course. We have several.
Right, I'll move them if you
I
want, Mr.
believe we're
Chairman.
open as of today.
I think this is all President's Golf Course?
Yep.
That's a good
These are-
sign.
They're
A great sign, right?
They're open again.
We're getting there.
they're open.
Yeah, that's great, really.
Yeah,
Good.
today.
Wonderful. We'll take it. Spring is coming. All right, I'll move the following though. Hey, they're all terminations, pretty much. Notice the termination of Wilfred Hines of Milton as Ranger at the rate stated effective 3/5/24. Notice the termination of Michael Costello as grounds crew at the rate stated at 3/5/24 on the date. These were all 3/5/24.
Right.
Notice the termination of Sean Feeney of Quincy, the grounds crew, effective 3/5/24. Notice the termination of Isabel Murphy of Quincy at the pro shop at the rate stated, effective 3/5/24. Notice the termination of Taylor Nate, of Quincy at pro shop at the rate stated, effective date 3/5/24. Notice the termination of Benjamin Snyder of Quincy, grounds crew, non-effective at the same rate, effective 3/5/24. And notice of termination for Kathleen Walbridge of Braintree, the grounds crew, effective date 3/5/24. I'll move those as one group. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded on 7, terminations. These are seasonal employees. 'Tis the season. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Next
Now,
two.
on the other hand,
Add back.
we're opening, so we do need somebody. I'll move approval of notice of contingent employment of John Sassy of Dorchester, seasonal golf course associate at the rate stated effective 3/14/24. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye. And the
Next.
other one is notice of contingent employment, David Payne of Dorchester, seasonal golf course associate at the rate stated effective 3/14/24. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye. That concludes our appointments and
Thank you.
termination of President Trump.
Number 9, payroll and expense warrants for approval.
All right, Mr.
Including
Chairman,
opera.
I'll be pleased to move it. We have 6 of them together. First, I'll move approval of, for the warrant list of 3/13/24, move approval of payroll of the county, 24-36, the amount of $145,335.59. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is approved.
Next, payroll of the county, separate item 24-36.1, the sum of $1,838.31. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is approved.
I'll move
Next.
approval on the third item for expense for the county for 3/2/24, the sum of $101,441.86. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is approved. Next.
And the next 3 are opera awards, Mr. Chairman. First one is for Town of Weymouth, 24-37. We're approving for Weymouth today, $2,660,947.30. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is approved. Next.
Next 2 are for the Town of Foxborough. First one, opera award for the sum of $230,000. That's 24-37. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
All
Aye.
right.
Thank
And the
you.
last one, 24-37. One more for the
Yep.
Town of Foxborough. We move approval of the opera award in the amount of $129,301. No cents. So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
All right.
It is approved.
That concludes that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, staying with the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, number 10 is report on. Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a fair bit of information to go through with the chairman, to the commissioners this afternoon. The first is to add some details to the ARPA awards that Commissioner Stady just read.
great.
With today's votes, the commissioners have exceeded $106 million in funds to the various cities and towns in Norfolk County. Today's vote of $2.66 million to the town of Weymouth is a reimbursement payment for infrastructure water program, specifically the Washington Street water main replacement and improvement project to replace the aged and failing cast iron water mains between Federal and Main Street. The work includes new ductile iron main, valves, hydrants, and connections. The next one for the town of Foxborough also was a reimbursement against the supporting public health category. The Ahern Middle School was designed with 200-ton air-cooled chillers to maintain reasonable temperature during late spring and early fall, and to enable the district to operate all summer school programs in the building. The town has replaced 2 of the compressors previously, one in 2014, one in 2016, for $38,000 and $42,000 respectively. One of the replacements has broken, the other, and they carry a standard warranty. Compressor on the second chiller has failed. Funds for this $129,301 reimbursement will assure that the Ahern Middle School now has operable air-cooled chillers in Foxborough. The last one for the town of Foxborough was an even $230,000. This was a revenue replacement option for the recreational department at the Cohasset River Recreational Area. Due to the lack of programming for 2 years during the pandemic and resulting loss of revenue, the use of ARPA funds was requested to be used for the renovation of the Cocasset River Recreation Area, commonly known as Mill Street, specifically to improve the infrastructure of the area and the town pool located at the site. The majority of this $230,000 has been spent, so consequently, the request is for reimbursement against that expense. So as I mentioned, you have now exceeded $106 million. As you close in, I think your cap is $134 million. We're doing quite well on the award side. Commissioners, I'd like to share with you an update, a detailed update on the status of the ARPA program at this time. In previous meetings, I've alerted you that we're entering a very important phase with the grant. I've alerted you that back in January, we notified all the cities and towns of the need to engage in a closeout plan customized for each community. To date, we have received 16 of the 28 plans that were due on March 1st. Mr. Bill Galvin, Mr. Bill Buckley were actively chasing down the communities that have yet to submit their plans. Over the next several weeks and months, our team is going to be looking at these plans in great detail to come up with essentially customized solutions based on the community's interests for spending their allotted ARPA funds in a timely fashion. If you would just allow me briefly to go into the memo that I prepared that details what this plan includes, I'll be brief but concise. In August 2021, the Norfolk County Commissioners announced a program to manage a $137 million grant program. Since then, the commissioners have awarded, with today's awards, 139 projects totaling $106 million. The program's done a remarkable job informing the communities of the program, managing grant applications, and directing the funds to the local needs in an efficient manner that features dual review and adherence to the U.S. Treasury's final rule. On January 5th, I informed all communities that the grant is now entering the more intensive closeout and monitoring phase. And as you know, all funds must be obligated before the end of December 2024, and then consequently expended by 2026. The county has awarded at least one project to every city and town under terms and conditions detailed in their respective contracts. These contracts end on June 30, 2024. With these looming deadlines, we've asked each community to submit us a closeout plan that provides details of the community's plans for remaining grant application against their allotment, as well as plans to obligate and expend those funds previously provided. Our goal in this closeout phase is simple: optimize the grant funds for each community and reassign funds to areas of need within the county with any surplus identified. With the successful implementation and management of this grant now giving way to the closeout and monitoring, the commissioners must be aware of the insight into this intense and important phase of the grant management process is imperative. Closeout. The grid below offers a timeline that was shared with the communities and how the county will approach this closeout process over the next 12 months. These steps will include a customized review of each community's closeout plan to include a status of remaining unallocated funds and the status of awarded funds not yet obligated. I won't go into the full grid, but the timelines are January 5th, memo out, March 1st, closeout plans due, May 1st, all projected reversions due to the county treasurer from communities that have completed projects and leftover funds. Essentially, if you've awarded funds to a community for a $100,000 program and the grant is done on that project and they spent $90,000, we're asking them to return the $10,000 so that they can reallocate those monies within their allotment. It's important that they optimize it. Don't let that $10,000 revert. July 1st, the community plan will now include new contracts with new deadlines on a case-by-case basis. It's important that the county use the contract as the cudgel to make sure that the communities adhere to our goals. They have to let us know what's going on. They have to convince us that the grants that have been awarded but not yet obligated have a definitive plan behind it. We have to be very careful to make sure that the communities don't just tell us that it'll be encumbered. We have to see some demonstrative efforts vis-a-vis a contract, a bid, or some award by town meeting and so forth. By September 30th, 2024, the county will receive final closeout project updates from all the communities. So in other words, our goal by July 1st is let people know, here's what your new allotment looks like, your new plan, here's your new contract. We'll see you in September. It's the last chance the county's going to have a close look at each community's balance to make sure that they're adhering to the plan and they're optimizing their grants. The closeout process is expected to be labor intensive and require additional resources and hours to review each community's plan and assess their position with respect to all grant projects progress. That includes expenditures, obligations, bidding, local approval, timelines, and risks, as I just mentioned. As of this date, the county has received 16 of the 28 closeout plans requested. More work is needed to obtain the remaining plans so our process can begin. We've had several internal discussions with ARPA staff, as well as our primary auditor, about this process. We all agree that this effort, coupled with monitoring, are the most important phases of the grant. The closeout plan will feature the following tasks. During closeout, between now and July, we're going to receive all plans. We're going to split the community plans into two to three groups. So between myself, our opera coordinator, and our assistant county director will assess each community's plan as it has come in. I've seen some of them. They need work, a lot of work. Some communities simply have asked for more money. It's not about that. It's about explaining to us, what have you done with the funds that we're giving you, and how can we be assured that we're obligating you. So there's going to be a lot of case management, if I could borrow a phrase, that involves back and forth active communications with points of contact for each community. Thus, then we will then issue new contracts at the end of June, early July. We'll then move into a space between July and September, as I mentioned, to monitor their performance against the closeout plan. The county will continue to manage all the grants towards the end of this calendar year. And during this time, we expect a fair amount of return fund activity. So as I just mentioned, if you gave a community $100,000 for a grant and they actually spent 90 and they're done, we've seen this in a few cases already. Those funds have to be returned, and our treasurer staff have to now be positioned to implement a new system of tracking all return checks and then redepositing them back into their respective ARPA accounts so that there's no loss of funds, and they're tracking all return funds for a clean audit record.
So they can't keep it, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
they can't keep it as a credit for the next grant?
No,
They may or may not get it?
no, absolutely not.
Okay, so they get leftover money, town A has extra money, they gotta turn it back to us.
Yes,
They turn it back to us, and then we put it back into their separate account.
That's the other thing I was gonna ask you. Second thing, thank you, Peter. So say town A gets $1.7 million and they didn't spend 10,000. Now they turn it back to us, but then does that get towards their next grant, that whatever it might
yes,
be?
yes.
So the dates here, am I reading this wrong?
No.
You said new contracts coming out June.
July, as of July 1.
Okay, this says June. It says June 24. Am I reading this wrong?
No,
It says, but then,
the existing contract ends June 30th, 2024. We have to extend new ones as of July 1.
oh, July 1. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
And it'll be against the customized, renewed approach to how the grants, the communities intend to spend their grants.
So whatever money a town toward, whether it's Quincy, Canton, Milton, whatever, that goes back in their little area
Mhm.
in terms of their original lot.
That's correct.
Okay, so it can't be that it's like put into this other category that could be used by another town. Like, could Canton's money be used for Franklin, Stoughton, or something like that?
If a that's correct. Any community that informs us that they have completed their ARPA program,
Mhm,
and I really frankly don't envision this happening until late summer around Labor Day,
mhm.
and they're done, and they don't have any other approved grant programs that are eligible, and they'd like to return to us their $4,320. Send it back in, that goes into the county's pool for redistribution of awards. Okay, we want to give the communities every opportunity to spend against their allotment, but at some point, the community is going to have to announce to us they have surplus. They can't spend it. Or we've determined that they have a project, usually the large ones, that will not have sufficient time for obligation. They haven't bid it, they haven't met certain guidelines according to 30B and so forth. And those funds would be in jeopardy of reversion as well. Make that very clear to the community. If you don't find an eligible project, the money's coming back to us, we'll find a redistribution path.
Okay, that's the other question. So if the town doesn't apply for all their money, it could happen.
That's correct. And
That that money would go into a general pool to be redistributed.
that's exactly right. And frankly, Commissioner, I see that as happening more likely in that September timeframe. You have to give them at least the summer to get their allotments ready and their plans done. Currently, in the closeout memo that I mentioned, we've notified all the communities, if you have reached your allotment and you have additional programs or projects that you want to get done, put them into the portal. go right ahead. They'll stay there until we're ready to jump on them for the redistribution against funds that may become surplus. Clifton Larson has been generous enough to define a new space for us in the portal where we can identify what we're calling excess allotment projects look like. I just viewed it yesterday. It's easy. You can already see some communities are putting in, I think Sharon was one of them, several projects that are ready for ARPA, but we don't have money for them. So they're going to sit there ready so that when the money comes, we can hit them and obligate the
I think
funds.
Franklin's interesting.
Yeah,
I
they,
think-
they all expressed interest.
agree.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
recall. I thought you were on that ARPA call we had with the communities prior to the closeout memo, late December. I thought you did, but anyway, they all asked the same question: is there extra money? Is there extra money?
Yeah,
And I
right.
said, yeah, we don't know that yet, but we want to be able to be positioned to expend or award the funds with your approval to the communities that have eligible projects.
All right.
So we're positioning the program to receive those funds in the event they do develop. The next phase will be monitoring. On January 1st, 2025, all grant funds have to be awarded. The county's new task will be to oversee a monitoring process that will involve cyclical review of community award spending. Partnering with Clifton Larson Allen, we will need to manage all areas of grant spending and, if necessary, initiate terms for award modification that would be available via the final rule guidelines. I'll pause very briefly to inform the commissioners. The Treasury came out with another final rule update about 3 or 4 months ago. It confused a lot of people, but the gist of it is this. If you're a community and you've received $1 million to do a water pipe installation program, and you awarded it to Peter Collins Construction Company, and December 31st, 2024 comes and goes, it's been awarded to his construction company, and then in March of 2025, this construction company alerts the community, we can't do the work. We don't have enough resources. Whatever the reason is, we can't fulfill the terms of our contract. What the final award does, it acknowledges that there may be some midstream changes to these obligations. They're not locked up and the keys thrown away on December 31st. What is said was, as long as that obligation is within the same dollar amount, the same purpose area against the same description, in other words, now we're going to award it to Stady Construction, we can modify the award. So we don't know how frequently that will happen, but with many communities in Massachusetts all doing the same thing in a short 2-year period, we think there may be some breakdowns. We think there may be some challenges with contracts and vendors and the obligations. This final rule gives us the method by which we can adjust them. So that's something we'll have to be responsible for as well. The monitoring involves receiving periodic grant activity reports from the communities, analyzing the activity against the approved grant program, and communicating with communities to advise and recommend activities needed. Our partner currently performs some periodic community monitoring of community grant awards. They just began doing it late 2023. They have begun 2 to 3 communities per quarter, but it's on a cycle. They keep going until the grant ends. They now project that this activity will be overseen by the county director, and the assistant county director will intensify. Currently, Clifton Larson projects that the number of hours per month for monitoring will be approximately 832 per month starting January 2025, and this estimate begins to flatten out a year later to 621 on January 1st, 2026. So you can see where the peak monitoring really begins in January of 2025, and it keeps going for the next 2 years. It starts to trail off a little bit towards 2026 as the grant begins to end. However, based on this projected workload, Clifton Larson has submitted a request to increase the hourly rate for staff by approximately 4% for calendar year 2025 and another 4% for calendar year 2026. I've had conversations with my peers in the other counties. They are generally in agreement that this modest request for the increase is allowable. I asked for the breakdown of the hours associated with it so we could see what the activity looks like. So we'll imminently be probably signing off on that increase shortly with Larson. The county must invest in the monitoring phase of this grant. This 2-year period is critical to the final report card of performance of the county for this impactful grant. As expected, The county performed so well during the first half of the grant that our partnering communities now trust our ability to manage programs for their benefits. It's not a coincidence that we've successfully launched the Weights and Measures program during this time, because with the trust of our communities, we can expect further regional program development in the next several years, growing the county role into regional source for services that the commissioners desire. Consequently, we must complete the grant program with clear audits, sound business practices. Failure to perform a robust grant monitoring program may result in a breakdown in performance that would negatively impact our impeccable management record to date. And then finally, commissioners, on the ARPA update, I've attached a spreadsheet that summarized the administrative and program award activity for the county's 3% set aside. Should be on the back.
One more sheet?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's on the table.
Line on my page?
That's what I'm reading in your
Yeah.
left hand, and I'm referring to the document that's on the table.
Wait, okay.
That spreadsheet, okay? The county has been awarded 8 grants internally with 2 additional applications pending. The county continues to manage the grant with administrative expenses that are below 1%. This grid shows how Norfolk County fares in comparison to the other county administrative expenses. Norfolk County has the lowest salary expense of all grants, followed by Plymouth, Bristol, and Barnstable. The grant's program funding is positioned close with widespread use of funds across Norfolk County facilities, communities, and employees. With the 10 proposed grants either awarded or planned and the projected administrative expenses remaining, the county has $752,508 surplus that can be used for obligation before December 31st, 2024. In the event no eligible grant emerges, we can move this surplus against the Dedham Superior Court project that was previously funded by the Capital Improvement Fund and credit the project with remaining grant funds. So basically, I think I mentioned this when we funded the $2 million-ish project for the Dedham Superior Court by providing new HVAC systems there. That's funded with capital money, part of the 11 million we got from Quincy from the county. In the event that there's any surplus remaining from the grant program, we'll use it to offset that cost and get a savings on our capital improvement fund. Okay, so that's our off ramp in the event we see the surplus. But yet the county still has available funds that can be awarded for general purposes. So the spreadsheet was attached. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them, but it plainly states that between our one-time costs that were shared with other communities, we saved a tremendous amount of money in that bargain. Our annual costs with Clifton Larson, our second auditor, as well as our legal counsel, the Norfolk County salaries and coordinator contracts all total 0.92%. The only thing that is not yet firmed up and it's circled, the projected costs for CLA in FY 25 and 26. Those are projected about 4%, but we haven't signed the contract yet, so that's about it. So I wanted to give the commissioners the sense that things are going to change and change rapidly regarding the ARPA program. The awards may start to wind down as they come to this table, but it doesn't mean we're not working very hard behind the scenes to make sure the communities optimize their funds. And before I conclude, Mr. Chairman, I also want to mention, as I rarely do, some of you know I wear a hat in my community. We went through the exact same program. My community is fully optimized. We've awarded over $4 million in ARPA, but during this time period, we're doing the exact same thing, making sure that all the awarded funds have been obligated or spent, and anybody's getting any extra money, send it back for further distribution. So we're all doing the same thing at the same time. So that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Any questions? Go ahead, Richard. I'm sorry, Peter. Peter's first.
Yeah, I just had some comments. So,
Great.
because a lot of people might not understand what the ARPA is all about. They just heard a lot. But when the federal government started with the ARPA program, they gave certain amounts of money to different states and to different cities and towns, but they also gave money to the counties. And the county's job, if they accept the money, is to take the money, be responsible for all the money, be responsible for all the filings with the money, and to track all the money to make sure it's used properly. And the county is ultimately responsible to the federal government to make sure that it's all done appropriately, or we have to pay it back. It's our obligation. So when we met with
and risk.
yeah, we have all the risk. And when we met with the other counties and we all together chose to accept the ARPA money, initially, the other counties were using a much higher cost to administer the ARPA funds. They had different administration vehicles within their counties, but they were paying different people different amounts of money to monitor the grant. And for the longest time, even though we had the most money to disperse of all the counties within the state, all the active counties within the state, we were dramatically less than the other counties in our administrative costs. And I think it's time that with this major shift in the amount of work that's going to be required, that the individuals who are working on the ARPA program for the county be paid in a competitive manner compared to the other counties. And I was looking at the numbers and looking at the math, and the individuals who are actually working, crunching the numbers, if we look at those individuals alone, we're still less than the other counties. And we have that much more to give. So I just wanted to make that statement. I know you have some statements too, Richard, so I'm going to let you go, but I was going to make a motion after our discussion.
No, I appreciate that. It's always great to have you back and have your comments. I truly appreciate it. I do. I just have a couple of things, just questions first, and then a couple of comments. My first question is, if I'm reading this right, so on the county side, we've got about $2 million for projects, right? More or less. That we will have.
Originally?
Yeah, well, isn't that what we're looking at, the county, on our side?
Right.
There's like, you got a list here, COVID test kits and benefits according to.
Right, so effectively, when the award came in, the commissioner set aside 3%, which, by the way, to Commissioner Collins's point, is also the lowest administrative overhead of any county. So out of that 1% is going to administration, and 2% is going towards projects, and that 2% totaled $2.8 million.
2.8, okay.
And so far to date, the commissioners have awarded 2.1.
Okay, I see. Okay, got it. All right, easy. That's the easy one. All right, second one, easy question. I think so. There's no question, basing your presentation, that it seems to be more labor intensive as we get to the closeout. All right. So I'm gonna jump way at the head. In the year 2026, when the program is
End of December 22.
Right. Assuming we're all moving, what will that look like? What happens? Do we issue do we get audited by the IRS, the Treasury? They come and audit our books, or do we submit final records to them, or they just look at the portal and say 137 in, 137 out? What's the end game here?
Phenomenal question. A couple of things happened. When the commissioners interviewed auditors back in 2021 to run the program, this particular question was broached. What do the auditors propose to do with the records associated with all of the activity, the awards, the emails, the backup, everything? Clifton Larson has prepared an extraordinary database, the portal that we keep referring to, that hosts all of the grant awards, the backup, and every piece of paper that came in from the communities to justify a grant. The grant will be audited at some point, either through our auditor in our annual audit, or perhaps by the United States Department of Justice. The U.S. Fed will likely sample a number of grants across the country to audit. We have to prepare as though we're one of them. And so what Clifton Larson has done is they've said, and I believe this is accurate, they intend to maintain all the records within that portal after December 31st, 2026. They turn the data over to us for our control, our ownership, because we own it, we bought it, so that when we get audited, we turn over all those reports to either the feds or our independent auditor to affirm that they want to sample certain audits, that everything that was required by the final rule was upheld. So functionally, we own all the product. We'll have it for at least 7 years, I believe, after the audit, which is the audit window, in the event the feds come knocking. But for sure, our own auditor will look at it during that period annually for our CFA.
All right, yes, that question. Good.
Okay.
Okay. All right, now, tough one.
That was a critical question back when you awarded the grants.
So we have already established, a stipend or a salary for our Norfolk County, I'm going to say, administrative team, right? That does this. And to me, it's a significant jump to go in fiscal 22, where is it? Jumping up to, well, fiscal, is it 24? No,
So are you on the column called Norfolk County salaries?
right.
The first line, 15,000, it's half a year. The commissioners approved $30,000 worth of Norfolk County salaries. But because it was only half a year, it's shown as 15,000. And then annually, it's a $30,000 cost until the end of the grant.
But I thought there was going to be some increased compensation. It's not reflected there.
No, because there's been no consideration of that yet.
Okay, so,
We can feed that in if there's a
okay, so
favorability.
my thoughts.
Sure.
So based on your own memo, based on what you're saying, it looks like it's going to be a lot of work going forward. But then it kind of dips back down to, a little bit.
The
So-
work effort changes. The monitoring becomes a lot more desk auditing, review, communication. It's not, I won't be coming here with awards every week. I'm not going to be dealing directly with commissioners and elected officials likely at the local community level. But we are going to be intensively involved with the financial officers and the town managers over the next 2 years.
So,
Absolutely.
to my point, and not this any mistrust at all, but again, defending it, is there any way to quantify that? I'm saying, how do we come up with this magical number of, well, therefore everyone should get a little, it's always easier for all of us in business, in politics to say, here's what, I'm doing X amount of tasks, this amounts to X amount of hours, and this is what it should be worth. Is there a way to quantify that?
The closest thing I could get to was mirroring the Clifton Larson Allen model. Right now, they spend roughly 400-ish hours per month on monitoring, which is relatively low.
Mhm.
They're projecting that to more than double for the beginning of 2025 when the monitoring period intensifies.
Mhm.
So between 2025 and 2026, it's doubling what they're doing now.
Mhm.
And then in 2026, it starts to go down a bit to 600 where it flattens out for the end of the year. So any way you cut it in 2025 and in 2026 will be in a factor of 1.5 to twice the amount of monitoring we're doing right now, based on Clifton Larson Allen's projection of hours.
Right, so last question. I'm just trying to be very polite here and
Take your time.
open-minded. If we are to assume that we're going to be doing some additional work, and given your present work log job description, is it safe to say that some of this might mean that you're working on a weekend or a Saturday
Yeah.
or?
They have been working some.
Okay, that's what I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That is, that would be work that would be above and beyond your regular job.
I
This
think
is
it's
work
safe to
that's
say. Yeah.
It's going to be
We
something.
currently, on a weekly basis, submit timesheets to our payroll. And every week we put in a minimum of 7 hours a week beyond the core hours that we hear to work. So
Good.
this will intensify.
All right, that's all I'm asking. All right. Okay. I'll go ahead, Ms. Jim. Your plan is very good, very thorough.
Thank you.
It's amazing to think that it's kind of, we're halfway through it. We're at the
That's
halfway
exactly
point.
what I've been thinking.
Amazing.
I want to, well, actually, let me speak before Peter.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's exactly what I was thinking. I remember,
crazy.
I think I've said this a couple of times, I want to say it in the proper manner. I remember worrying about this in the beginning. The enormity of the number, this, that, we've not done this before. And I remember it coincides with the hiring of Mr. Cronin. And I only asked him the first time I met him officially through the Paradigm Group. We've got this big federal program coming down the line. You got to go out and look at it because should you become the county director, it would going to be very, a lot of the burden's going to fall on your shoulders. I don't think it was all going to fall on your shoulders. However, the fact of the matter is, it has morphed and grown with the team we put together. I don't worry as much as I used to. I want to finish it out the same way. Having said all that, I'm enormously proud, and we're being monitored all along by everyone, I'm sure, that, it's gone so well. That's not to say that we're perfect. I remember it was a hiccup or two in the beginning after it was explained to some cities and towns. They didn't fully grasp it, but we worked it all out. Congressman Lynch was helpful. The people in Senator Markey's office, Matt Thomas was helpful, and it really worked out. That's what this is all about. The other night, Commissioner Stady and I got a question at the Democratic caucus in the town of Dedham. From a planning board member about projects going on in Dedham. So it's trickled down and that's good. It makes me feel good. The first thing they say is they're talking about additional funds, I think. Come on in and we'll talk about it, but we have the thing set up. There's a protocol, how you go through the town. It makes me feel good. I was driving home thinking, gee, this has come a long way and it's great.
Actually, as a quick follow-up, if I may, even closer to home, last night at the Quincy caucus, there was an individual who came up, had a very lengthy conversation with me, concerned, he works for the government, he was concerned that in some respects, the ARPA money is not being spent, and it's not going to be given, its full weight, I said, let me make it clear to you, that's not the case in Norfolk County. He didn't quite understand all the different
The
counties.
case in
Yeah, I
Quincy
said,
is-
there's different counties, some are functioning, some are not. And I said, in Norfolk County and Plymouth, that money is going to be used quite a bit, and Barnstable has a different approach to it, but I said, but all I know is my own Norfolk County, we're on top of it, and everything will be accounted for. So it was good. But there are questions like that going to pop up. And like I say, you have a document like this, it's defendable, it makes sense, and it has a good end game, good way to end the process out. So I feel good about it.
Great. Commissioner Combs.
I'd like to make a motion to increase the ARPA stipends from the ARPA grant and the ARPA grant alone for the following employees in the following amounts consistent with the stipends paid by the other counties actively handling ARPA funds in Massachusetts. The first two go to County Director John Cronin from $10,000 to $30,000 per year through December 31st, 2016, and to Assistant County Director William Buckley from $10,000 to $30,000 per year through December 31st, 2016. And lastly, to Junior Accountant Keely.
You say 2016 or 2026?
2016. Sorry, I said 2026. Sorry about that. 2016.
No,
it's
it's
supposed to be
2026. You were saying 2016.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
It's 2026.
Let me do this again.
Yeah.
All right.
Say, wait a
Okay.
minute,
All right.
going backwards in time.
Actively handling ARPA funds in Mass. First County Director John Cronin from $10,000 to $30,000 per year through December 31st, 2026. And Assistant County Director William Buckley from $10,000 to $30,000 per year through December 31st, 2026. And lastly, to Junior Accountant Kaylee Mulhern, $5,000 per year through December 31st, 2026.
I'll second the motion. I would like to meet the other person we mentioned. It'd be great to know all our employees, but that's fine. Those all make sense. It does. Makes sense.
I mean, I'm not positive how long Katie's been here. I think it's 7 or 8 years.
Really?
Could be more.
Kylie handles all
Kylie.
of the transactions between the communities, between the wires, checks, in some cases, and the reconciliation payments.
Okay. Well.
Okay,
That's-
motion made and
Makes
seconded.
sense. Makes sense.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous, 3-0. We'll need a copy of that motion for my record. That's fine. Any more discussion of opera for today?
No, sir.
Number 12, bid openings. We do have a bid here at 1:30. It's for the financial literacy coordinator for the treasurer's office. This is a outside bid for services. Nancy?
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Nancy.
This is a bid for a financial literacy coordinator for the Norfolk County Treasurer's Office. For a period of 1 year with a 1-year option to renew. The bid from Teach Financial Literacy LLC out of Alda, Nebraska.
Nebraska?
Mhm.
Okay.
Bid year 1, 29,500. Year 2, 29,500. Next, I have a bid from Courtney Dottoli out of Canton, Mass. She has bid year one, 25,000, year two, 25,000. Lawrence Financial Group out of Laurel, Maryland. They bid first year $22,999.99. Second year $26,999.99. That is all for today.
Now, this is for a program to teach school children.
Yeah.
Public at large, I did.
Might be for
that explained to
seniors,
me.
for seniors,
So seniors also, yes.
seniors, yeah, I thought it was like a senior program too.
This was a ARPA grant, the commissioners had previously approved on behalf of the county treasurer.
Okay,
I believe he intends to have a far reach, as Commissioner Stady indicated, to underserved individuals as well as elderly folks across the county.
I move we take the bids as open and advisement.
Second.
Copies will be made and sent down to the treasurer for him to go through.
I have a further, okay, yeah, so it's listed here on the financial literacy program,
That's the one.
county approved applicants. Excellent. Okay, motion made and second to take it under advisement. All in favor?
Aye.
We're all set, Nancy. Anything else?
All
Thank you.
set.
Okay. Thank you. Number 13, contract awards. I have none, we have none today. Number 14, report of the county director, John Cronin.
Thank you. Just a few items, commissioners. Just want to alert you that the employee handbook that had been distributed to staff back in December upon your approval is now undergoing impact bargaining with AFSCME. We held our first meeting yesterday where we threw their concerns. We are processing a response to them and we'll be meeting with them on March 26th, 2024. It was a very productive meeting and we hope to have closure on it without too much delay. To that point, the PEC meeting, which is required under contract with our union and our union on behalf of our employees relative to our insurance program and portfolio, will have its first meeting on March 18th. It will likely be a brief meeting as we assess the fact that the PEC is formed through contract agreement, and we'll probably have our first official meeting to deal with choices and recommendations for our various PEC details later this year. So it's been a few years, but we're back at it. I also wanted to alert you, and Sam could not be here today. He's covering the IT desk at the registry right now. But he put in an enormous amount of work over the last 2 weeks and successfully submitted a $61,000 grant to the state Office of Grant Research. This particular grant, if it were to be awarded, we'll know in May, would provide funding to Norfolk County to pull together its first consolidated cybersecurity grant program. So instead of units of our government having silos of cybersecurity, we'll be hiring a firm to help us synthesize and bring together a consolidated program, which I think will have enormous benefits for our cybersecurity infrastructure. So thank you to Sam for that long process and hard work doing that. And one final note, the Dedham District Court elevator is largely installed. There's a couple of small things being done. I believe facilities informed me they're putting new smoke detectors in today. They're hoping to have the state out as early as Monday to activate it, sign off, so that it can be brought online for the use of the individuals who work and do business across the street at Dedham District Court. So our thanks to the vendor, United Elevator, who did all that work. It was a tremendous amount. And obviously to our facility folks who support it. That's all I have.
Any questions, Director? Okay. Moving right on. Number 15, emergency items, topics the chair did not reasonably anticipate. I have none. We'll have a regularly scheduled meeting next week.
2 weeks from today, I'll have a budget presentation for you.
Right.
And then
We vote the budget at that meeting
the
then? In 2
27th,
weeks.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then what, then
You're
the
out next
advisory,
week, right?
yes, and then the
Yeah, the
advisory
27th.
board is
10th.
the 10th, okay.
Okay,
All right, cool.
so that's the schedule. I'm happy with keeping to it. And we have a school meeting tonight, which is budget conscious. But basically, last 2 years we've kept to our calendar, which is a good habit to get.
So I understand, Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Go ahead.
is that the trustees will vote the budget tonight of the Aggie, correct?
And then it
And
comes
then,
here.
right, and then it comes back here. Do we need to vote it again before the advisory board or not?
It'll be part and parcel of what gets sent to the
The
advisory.
advisory board, okay. All right. I'm good. If we're done, I can move to adjournment. Do you have something else?
No, I just want to wish everyone happy St. Patrick's Day this weekend. It's on the weekends, yes. I believe it's Sunday. Yes, it is Sunday. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Well, thank you.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
All right.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Stady, I would like a few minutes of your